The Legend of Zelda: Twilight Princess is a story that focuses on series protagonist Mr. Zelda, who attempts to stop his home from being consumed by a parallel dimension called the Twilight Realm. To do so, he must take the form of both a human and a furry, and perform convoluted tasks in the effort to save his loved ones. But before we can do any princess saving or temple raiding, we need to start with file creating. We're given a name, but what kind of name is Link? No, we're taking matters into our own hands. I was gonna rename the horse, but I couldn't think of one at the time, so I've decided his name is Ryan. It's at the start that we learn that Kyle owns a house. I saw this game had a fantasy setting, and because of their reasonable housing market, now I know why. He also has a... let's ignore that. In order to progress, we are assigned to play nanny to the Three Stooges, but because I don't like babysitting, I decided that I will entertain them with Dodge Rock, my favorite kindergarten activity. However, because Dodge Rock wasn't entertaining enough, we need to get a slingshot. We get the slingshot and learn that the kids' names are Beth, Tallow, and... add that to my notes. Baby Mallow is an intelligent child, and like all vermin must be exterminated. However, he's invincible to all of my current weaponry, so he may live for now. Hey you, precocious child.
What do you want, fairy boy?
Well, I need to transition to the next segment, so set up some targets for me to shoot.
What do I look like, a Home Depot? You think I just keep construction materials lying around?
Yeah, that's kinda why I'm here.
How about, before I make a breezeway through your pearly whites, you turn your minimum wage, goat herding, horse riding self out of here?
Okay. After being disgraced by the baby, we need to escape on Ryan and redeem ourselves by finding his brother that ran away trying to kill wildlife. Which I wholeheartedly approve of, but the village thinks this is bad, so we go after him with a slingshot and a toy sword. Once we find our way into the forest, we come across a number of things, such as grass, angry grass, and this guy. It turns out that this guy is a lantern oil dealer, the scum of the earth, whose business model is to get people hooked on lantern oil by giving them paraphernalia to blaze with, and he gets us hooked on his product by giving us the gateway lantern. He then lets us take some of his soup to go because he's a nice guy, and thus begins the game of Corso's Soup Lottery. His soup damages you or heals you if you drink it, so we'll hang on to that just in case we need it. After finding the junkies that Tallow ran off with, he begs us not to tell on him to his dad, and because I'm not a narc, I promise I won't. It doesn't matter though, his dad finds out anyway. When we get back from our goat herding, Child Protective Services comes and takes our sweet baby boy away from us. We need to get past the children blocking the way to the spring, and since kicking them isn't an option, we need to bribe them with weaponry. We sneak into the spring where Ilya took my horse to get him back, but before I can do anything... Oh, come on now, is that really necessary? Ilya gets shot and Kyle dies, the end. The hit wasn't quite enough to kill him, and giving him a concussion started Kyle on a dark path, the path of a simp. Kyle runs off to find Ilya and instead finds the dairy section.
Hey, yo, man, don't forget to shoot your shrimp. I landed to look in the back. Oh man, it's way past its expiration date.
I am expired milk.
Oh, come on, dude. Who gave the milk light mode?
The darkness pulls me in. Behold my persona!
That's it, bro. I'm taking you to prison.
Well, we've done it. We have committed the worst crime known to man, and such is the crime that it deserves capital punishment. So we are now in furry jail awaiting our execution, and we get to meet our companion for this title, who is somehow worse than Navi on the account that she doesn't take no for an answer, is abusive, and condescending. We tolerate her, however, because she helps us to escape. She tells us that in return for her assistance, we are indebted to her and must do everything she says, when we get reduced to a chauffeur. Ow! Why are you doing this? You can fly and teleport.
Shut up, Mutt. Giddy up. I have the need for speed.
So we do as she says and reach the top of the prison, which is castle adjacent. This is great news because the property value must be amazing and the person I need to see is apparently in there. So we get to it and we find that, oh boy, is this the aforementioned Twilight Princess?
So, this is the one for whom you were searching.
That's not exactly what I had in mind, but I guess I'll do.
You were imprisoned. I am sorry.
Yeah, the furry jail. Deserved.
Poor thing. He has no idea where this is or what's happened. So, don't you think you should explain to him what you've managed to do? You owe him that much, Twilight Princess.
Oh, she said it! I knew it was you, title dropper! So Zelda tells us a story and we get the rundown of how we got here, and Zant, this guy, gives the princess an ultimatum, life or death.
It is time for you to choose surrender or die. Oh yes, a question for all the land and people of Hyrule. Life or death?
Come on now, it's not that bad in here.
Midna, this is no time for levity. What did I just say?
After reminding me rather cruelly of my mission at hand, I go back to the light world, and though it appears that Midna is gone, her shadow is still over me, meaning that I could never be truly free from her constant nagging. Once Kyle gets back to Ordon, he discovers the townsfolk in the village have been stricken with blindness, more so than they were before, as they cannot see a giant wolf 10 feet in front of them. We get a sword and shield from the townsfolk, leaving them defenseless, then go to the spring near the village. It turns out that this is one of the 4 furry masters who have transcended the mortal coil upon realizing their furry crimes. It takes pity on our condition and agrees to help us recover our human form, but in order to do so, we require the assistance of another furry master, who is beyond the Veil of Twilight. So we make our way there and Midna pulls us violently back into the furry dimension. Even Kyle is getting sick of Midna. After collecting the correct amount of bugs to feed the furry master, we are granted our prize and return to normal. But we return as a cosplayer? Will this nightmare ever end? Because it has been some time since my last oil burn, Kyle needs to get his fix. But before he can get crunk, some monkey comes and takes the lantern and starts blazing on his own. Once the lantern oil is used up, he drops it and bails, and since I spent the last of my money, I have nothing to buy more oil with, and must resort to theft and face the possibility of a first-degree misdemeanor. However, I don't get the chance because Corso sticks his dog on me. Yeah, what's good?
I want to teach you something.
Oh yeah, and what's that?
Stab in the chest.
What?
I have an iron deficiency that can only be solved with injections. Much better. I can stand it. I can help teach you this stuff.
Okay, cool. So after we learn to finish with flair like a true anime protagonist, we find an enemy that volunteers and we fire him from life in a very cruel and unusual way. Once the path is clear, we enter the temple and the first thing we do is save a monkey. There is also... Hi?
Hi!
I'm Oko. That's nice, I'm just passing
We should
through.
be friends!
No, I'm okay, I just ate.
Too late, I'm coming with. Beg your pardon?
Unfortunately, once you break the pot, the bird creature's in your inventory for the remainder of the temple, but because I don't want her with me, I decide to get rid of her. We continue on our quest with unwanted company and we find, oh no, a bigger monkey. The mini-boss is easy, but I need to take a gamble on Corso's soup lottery. Oh hey, what's down here? After a long and arduous quest, I finally rescue enough monkeys to create Monkey Circle. So we monkey chain to the final boss, and the monkey that we destroyed with facts and logic comes to our side and aids us in the temple boss. Claiming its art to sell on the black market, we teleport away from the scene of the crime where the furry master of the forest tells us that in order to progress, we need to become a furry again. Once we get done in the forest, we are greeted by the honorable and dependable letter carrier, known to some as the postman.
I have mail! If I have mail for you, I will approach you at high speed! Please do not flee!
Okay, I promise I won't.
Good.
Onward to mail!
Okay, bye. So in order to save the other furry masters, we need to get back into the Twilight. So Midna pulls us back through the dairy section and we become a furry again, just as the prophecy foretold. We smell a smelly smell of something smelly, and we learn the youth's scent, and we also gain the ability to teleport. The bridge to progress is blocked, but Midna has a secret power that she has yet disclosed to us. She can summon bridges.
No, you moron. The bridge was just in the forest and I brought it back.
Or you can summon bridges. We finally get to Kakariko, and the furry master begs us to bring the light back to this area. Kyle gets right on that and starts searching for bugs, but when we finally see the children again, they're all huddled in a corner. It's here in the game that there is a small cutscene depicting some of the characters in this town. Barnes, who makes children cry for fun, and Renato, the leader of Kakariko Village. Since Barnes is terrible for making children cry, and since only I'm allowed to bully those children, I take exception to this and blow up his house. Our next target is Death Mountain, but in order to win the Goron's respect, we must beat their leader in a sumo match. I am not joking. Oh yeah, and Ryan's back. I don't know where he went off to. We learn that the only person that's been able to beat the Gorons is the Ordon village mayor, Bo. So we travel back to his place and tell him that the village children are okay. That's good. And what of my beloved daughter, Ilya? Is she okay? Nah, dude, she got shot. Bummer, you win some, you lose some. It is then that we learn the basics of sumo wrestling, and he teaches us the secret to beating the Gorons. Cheating. Also not joking. We literally wear weighted shoes to keep our feet planted. But before our sumo match begins, we learn Mallow has begun his capitalist reign and after making preparations, sets up a shop in Kakariko. If you have $200 saved up, you can buy yourself the Hylian shield, impervious to fire and indestructible. Kyle cheats his way to the top and we beat up several Gorons, but uh-oh SpaghettiOs, I forgot my boots. We cheat successfully on our next attempt, and we enter the mines when we first have a relaxing sauna. Just a nice dip in the tub, just a splish splash, I was taking a bath. We encounter her again, but ignore her this time because we learned our lesson. We also find the mini-boss, who is just a guy doing his job, and we unceremoniously fire him from his position as head rockman of the losers, and steal the item he was guarding. The bow. A little strange to have it here, but using the completed key we attained after talking to all the elders, we meet the Goron Patriarch. After a long and not so difficult battle, we add another heart to our collection after dispatching another innocent raging monster. We visit the hot spring and find that it is inhabited by 2 Gorons taking a nice relaxing bath, which gives me an idea for a side business. Hi, Kyle here with my all-new Goron bathwater. I bottle and sell this stuff, so get it while it's hot. It's so tasty. The next people we have to save are the Zoras. When we get to their pad, we find that they have been made into fish popsicles. But before they can be used as a tasty snack, we need to put them on defrost by melting them with a rock from Death Mountain. We are then introduced to Nutella, Queen of the Zora, and her son, Prince Rolade. She asks us to save her son, and because she already got zapped, literally executed, she can't do anything. We get some bugs and become a bird, but we can't find the 15th bug. Where could it be? Oh. We go back to the spring and meet the final furry master, Gojira. When we have a weird dream sequence where Kyle gets Thanos snapped and Ilya attempts to stab him. Stop it. Stop laughing, many Ilias. Stop laughing before I die of cringe. In order to exit the lake area, we need to pay a depressed clown who is also a conspiracy theorist to shoot us. Out of a cannon. Kyle calls Ryan and they both skedaddle and meet the hero's shade again. I somehow miss him with the iron deficiency technique and he teaches me to stab first and ask questions later. We are then greeted by the honorable and dependable letter carrier, known to some as the postman, and he gives us 2 letters. One tells us of a new type of bomb and another tells us of a new fishing spot. Neither of them are very important, but I like the postman. When we arrive in Castletown, we go to a local bar, get a drink, and find someone who looks like Ilya. You can replace Ilya number 1, and you can be Ilya number 2. I'm sure that Bo wouldn't be able to tell the difference. This is Prince Rolade, who Nutella told us about. In order to save the child, we need to get him to Kakariko Village to be healed.
Is that true? Perhaps if we take him there...
Inadvisable! Too dangerous. But we can't turn a blind eye to a pretty girl in need either. Yes, we better escort you. Am I right, boys?
Well, isn't that nice? To reach Kakariko, we've got to cross 2 plains that are each infested by dangerous beasts. But we'll be safe now.
So the platoon of simps leave, and now it's up to Kyle to escort them or risk having them all burn alive. This game is a lot darker than I remember. Getting to the village, we get brought to the graveyard by Nutella, and she gives us some sick new drip. Now I get to cosplay as Aquaman. We then go to the bomb factory and get some aqua bombs to go redneck fishing, and after meeting a British cosplayer, we head for the Lakebed Temple. Thus begins the worst level, the water level. See what I did there? It's the water level, and the temple changes when you pull the levers, and it was a clever play on words. I liked your joke. Oh, no, not you again. It's me, the person you left behind last time. Yes, and there was a reason for that. Well, why don't you want me around? I'm super useful. Well, I don't know if you're dangerous. I don't want you sitting in my pocket. I'm pretty sure you threatened to eat me, and yet you choose to stick around. Didn't stop me then, it's not gonna stop me now. I take it you're not leaving then. Nope. So anyway, we go through the temple pulling levers and making rivers when Kyle defeats the Deku Toad and gets 1/2 of an item to become Spider-Man. Aqua Spider-Man does whatever I tell him to. Can he use both his arms? I don't know, I haven't tried. Look out, it's Aqua Spider-Man. This musical rendition of Aqua Spider-Man is brought to you by 123.4 The Lakebed Temples radio station. Stay tuned as we announce the Pick 3 lottery numbers for the 15 million rupee jackpot. Don't touch that dial. I think I'm gonna pass on that. This is my original character, Aqua Spider. He's like the Spider-Man, but he won't die if he touches the life liquid. Kyle fights the cool but wasted boss battle by dehydrating the heal when we get to the last Shadow Mask piece. Before we can do anything else though, Zant formally introduces himself and sends us back into the Shadow Realm by crippling a furry master. He then banishes Midna to the Light World and turns me back into a furry. Midna, now a Light Worlder, gets her color inverted and needs rescuing. With great urgency, we travel to Castletown and meet Midas. I mean, Gianni, who sold his soul for money and became a gold statue. We ignore his pleas for help and rush for Zelda. Midna inquires as to how Kyle can unfurry himself, and Zelda heals her injuries, but dies? What happens here? I don't know, not important. Midna is back! After we get our next objective of finding a new sword, we travel back to the woods where Midna and Kyle are both entranced by a spinning bridge. They watch it for hours until they eventually die. We get into the grove and meet Skull Kid, who doesn't look too hot. It's probably because he keeps blazing that sweet lantern oil. So Skull Kid dips and we get the worst puzzle in the game, the weird hopping guardian statue game. I 100% did not look this up on zeldadungeon.net. We have finally reached our goal, the Master Sword. We approach the sword, and we are finally free of our furry prison, at last. But then Midna ruins it by keeping the furry stone and says we can transform at will. Uh-oh. Well, at least this is the worst of it.
Oh, you wish it was the worst of it.
He is the single best character in the game because he is cool and someone who we all aspire to be.